She's 58 but looks 43. I had to know how, so I tried her routine. 7 days, 7 steps. Each one wakes up a different layer of your face. Miss one, and the whole thing collapses. Because apparently, our face is more high maintenance than a sourdough starter. So it starts simple. Day 1 felt too simple. I almost skipped it. Most people do. They jump straight into massaging, pinching, or sculpting their face without preparing the tissue first. I almost did the same. Big mistake. Cold, tight facial muscles don't move. They resist. And when you try to lift something that's locked in place, nothing happens. Heat changed that. I held a warm towel against my face for 30 to 60 seconds. Something shifted beneath the surface. The tissue softened, blood vessels expanded, oxygen rushed in. My skin became pliable instead of stiff, which meant every movement after this moment worked better than it would have before. This wasn't just about relaxation. It was about preparation. Blood flow increases by 10 to 15% when warmth hits the skin. That boost matters because better circulation means nutrients reach your cells faster, waste leaves quicker, and your face becomes easier to reshape. Then came the neck work. I'd forgotten my neck existed until I started this, but the neck pulls down on everything above it. When neck muscles stay tight, they drag the lower face downward. That's why some faces look tired even after a full night of sleep. The pull never stops. I stroked downward along my neck. Slow, firm movements from the jaw to the collarbone. It relaxed the platysma muscle. This muscle runs like a sheet from your chest up to your jaw. When it's tight, it creates that downward drag. When it's loose, your face has room to lift. Now the jaw. I didn't realize how much I clenched until I started this. Stress, focus, even sleeping wrong can lock the jaw in place. A tight jaw creates a blocky look. It widens the lower face and makes lifting harder later. So before anything else, the jaw needs to relax. I used gentle circular motions over the hinge of my jaw. It loosened the masseter. That's the muscle you feel when you bite down hard. It's one of the strongest muscles in the body, but it's also one of the most overworked. Relaxing it didn't just feel good. It reshaped my face. A relaxed jaw sets the foundation for everything that comes next. But warmth fades fast. My muscles tightened again within the hour. That's why this step only works when it leads into the next. I wasn't resetting my face for fun. I was resetting it so day 2 actually did something. My collagen doesn't care about my skincare routine. It drops 1% every year after 40. 1% sounds small until you realize that over 10 years, that's 10% gone. 10% less bounce, less firmness, less structure holding my face in place. Day 2 was about stretching, fighting that loss. I did slow cheek lifts, fingers at the corners of my mouth sliding them toward my temples. Not fast, not hard, just steady upward pressure that moved the tissue without tearing it. Hold for 5 seconds. That hold mattered more than the movement itself because it signaled the collagen to wake up. Collagen is elastic, but it gets lazy. When you don't stretch it, it shortens, it tightens, it forgets how to move. Stretching reminds me. Think of it like a rubber band that's been sitting in a drawer for months. The first stretch feels stiff. The second stretch feels easier. The third stretch brings it back to life. My forehead stretches came next. Fingertips pressed just above my eyebrows, pulled upward toward the hairline. Hold. 5 seconds again. This move fights the downward sag that makes the upper face look heavy. Then the temple holds. I pressed gently at my temples and pulled back toward my ears. It opened space in the mid-face. Created lift without tools, without products. Just tension and release. The temporalis muscle sits here, and it's connected to jaw movement. When I held the temples, I was also indirectly loosening my jaw again. What surprised me most was this. Stretching isn't about force, it's about consistency. Pulling too hard damages collagen instead of strengthening it. Pulling too soft does nothing. The balance sits right in the middle, firm enough to feel resistance, but gentle enough that nothing hurts. Each stretch prepared my face for fluid movement. Collagen that's been stretched becomes more flexible. Flexible collagen allows lymph to move, and that's crucial for what comes next. Without stretching first, day 3 doesn't work as well. The fluid stays trapped because the tissue stays tight. Day 2 wasn't just about lifting, it was about opening pathways, creating space, softening the structure so Day 3 could actually work, which is where things got visible. I woke up puffy. I always do. But puffiness isn't fat. Most of us think a swollen face means weight gain. That's not how it works. Puffiness is trapped fluid, lymph that didn't drain overnight, waste that didn't leave. And when that fluid sits in your face too long, it stretches the skin and makes everything look softer than it should. Lymph doesn't have a pump like blood does. Blood has the heart pushing it around. Lymph just sits there waiting for movement. That's why my face looked puffier in the morning. I'd been lying flat for hours, and fluid pooled in the lowest spots. Gravity basically clocks out while you sleep. Light pressure fixed it. Starting at my jawline, my fingertips glided upward toward my ear, not pressing hard, not digging in, just guiding. The lymph nodes sit right in front of the ear, and that's where fluid drains first. From there, it moves down the neck and out of the face entirely. This wasn't a massage. Massage moves muscles. Lymph drainage moves fluid. The pressure was softer, the speed was slower, and the direction mattered more than the strength. I used downward strokes along my neck. It pulled everything toward my chest, where the lymphatic system dumps waste into the bloodstream. Studies show lymph flow can increase 20 to 30% with proper drainage technique. That boost cleared my morning puffiness in minutes instead of hours. It softened my smile lines because the fluid pressing against those folds disappeared. It sharpened my jawline because the bloat under my chin drained away. But here's the trick. You can't drain lymph if the tissue is still tight. That's why Day 2 mattered. Stretching open space for the fluid to move. Without that prep, the lymph just shifts around instead of leaving. It's like trying to drain a sponge that's been compressed. The water has nowhere to go. The order isn't random. Heat loosens. Stretching opens, draining clears. Each step builds on the one before it. Skip any of them, and the chain breaks. Women who jump straight to lymph drainage without warming or stretching see less change because their tissue isn't ready to release. My face was clear now. Puffiness was gone. Fluid was out. The structure underneath was visible again, which meant Day 4 could actually reshape something. My jaw makes or breaks my face. A defined jawline creates structure. A soft jawline makes everything above it look like it's sliding off. And here's the truth I didn't want to hear. My weak jawline wasn't genetic. It was tense. The masseter was the problem. It's the muscle that runs along the side of your jaw, responsible for chewing. But when stress kicked in, I clenched. I ground my teeth at night. I held tension in my jaw all day without realizing it. And over time, that clenching made my masseter bigger and tighter. A tight masseter widens the face, creates a square, blocky look instead of the slimmer V shape most of us want. Relaxing it changes the entire lower face. Not overnight, but gradually. And the change is real. I used my knuckles for this. Fists gently pressed against my jawline, then glided upward toward my ear. The pressure felt firm but not painful. I was pushing into the muscle just enough to release the tension, not crush it. 5 to 10 times on each side. Then the circular massage. Fingertips placed directly on my masseter, moving in small circles. This wasn't about speed. It was about persistence. The muscle didn't release in one session, but consistent work over days softened it. What shocked me was this. The masseter connects to the temporalis, which connects to the forehead. So when I relaxed my jaw, I was also releasing tension higher up. That's why jaw work made my whole face look less tired. It's all connected. A relaxed jaw also created space for what came next. When my lower face was tight, it pulled everything downward. When it was loose, other areas had room to rise. Makes sense, right? Shaping my jaw also sharpened my profile. A defined jawline made my neck look longer, my chin look stronger, and my face look more angular. It's the difference between a face that looks soft and one that looks structured. I saw results after 3 sessions. Not huge, but something. Because the masseter responds quickly to pressure. It's a muscle. Muscles adapt, tension released, tightness faded, and my jaw started to show its real shape, instead of the puffy, clenched version I'd been carrying around. Day 5 targeted something I didn't expect. My cheeks had fallen. I didn't notice until I compared old photos. fat pads that sat high on my face in my 20s had slid downward. They didn't disappear. They just moved. And when they moved, my mid-face flattened. The hollows under my eyes deepened. The smile lines got heavier. Everything started looking tired, even when I wasn't. Day 5 was about cheek pinching. It's a technique that increases blood flow in the mid-face by 20 to 30%. I pinched my cheek gently between my thumb and fingers, then released. Repeated across the entire cheek area. My skin turned pink. That's good. Pink means blood is moving. Blood brings oxygen. Oxygen feeds cells. Fed cells plump up. Plump cells lift the skin. It's a chain reaction that starts with one simple action. But pinching alone wasn't enough. The fat pads needed to be pushed back into place. Starting at the corner of my mouth, my fingertips pressed upward toward my temple. Not a slide, a lift. I was physically moving the tissue higher, holding it there for a second, then releasing, 10 times on each side. The change was immediate. My mid-face looked fuller. The hollows softened. My face looked awake again. Then came the smile hold. I smiled as wide as I could, held it for 60 seconds. Sounds easy. It's not. The zygomatic muscles, the ones that pull your mouth upward, started burning after 30 seconds. That burn meant they were working. Working meant they were strengthening. Stronger muscles hold the cheek fat higher, and higher cheeks make the entire face look younger. Cheek fat doesn't just affect appearance, it affects how light hits the face. When cheeks sit high, light reflects off them and creates a natural glow. When cheeks sit low, shadows form under the eyes and around the mouth. Lifting the cheeks doesn't just change shape, it changes how light interacts with the face. I noticed my lifted cheeks before anything else. My eyes looked bigger, my face looked brighter, my smile looked wider. It's the single most impactful change in the entire routine because the mid-face is the center of attention. When the center lifts, everything else looks better by association. But lifted tissue doesn't stay lifted on its own. Day 6 locked it all down. Heat opens. The cold closes. That's the rule. On day 1, warmth softened my tissue so it could move. On day 6, cold tightened everything back up so the lifted shape held. I used ice globes. Chilled spoons work too. The key is consistent cold, not freezing. Freezing damages skin. Cold just shocks it into contracting. I rolled the globes along my cheekbones, jawline, and forehead for 1 to 2 minutes per area. My skin tightened immediately. Pores shrank. Swelling dropped. The lifted shape from the previous days got locked in place. Without this step, the tissue relaxes back to its original position within hours. Cold prevents that. Microcirculation spikes when cold hits the skin. Blood vessels constrict, then expand rapidly once the cold is removed. That expansion increases blood flow by up to 50% temporarily. More blood means more oxygen, more nutrients, and faster cell turnover. Cold also does something else. It reduces inflammation. Every massage, every stretch, every lift creates microinflammation in the tissue. Not harmful inflammation, just the body's natural response to movement. Cold calms that response and prevents puffiness from bouncing back. Some women skip this step because the cold feels uncomfortable. That's a mistake. The discomfort lasts seconds. The results last days. Tightened skin holds shape better. Reduced swelling keeps the face looking sharp. Plus, nothing says commitment like voluntarily pressing ice to your face at 7 in the morning. And the contrast between the warmth from day 1 and the cold from day 6 creates a complete reset cycle. The cold also prepared my skin for the final step. The structure was firm. The foundation was set. Day 7 made it stick. Muscles forget. You stop using them, they weaken. They weaken, they drop. And when facial muscles drop, so does everything attached to them. Day 7 trained my muscles to remember. Slow lifts held for 5 to 7 seconds each. Not fast reps, not quick movements. Slow, controlled holds that force the muscle to engage fully. I started with my eyebrows. Fingers pressed just above my brows, pulling upward while my forehead resisted. Hold, 5 seconds. Release, repeat 5 times. This trains the frontalis muscle to lift instead of sag. A lifted forehead opens the eyes and makes the entire upper face look alert. Then I moved to my cheeks, smiled wide, held the position without letting my mouth drop. 7 seconds. My zygomatic muscles burned. That burn meant they were working. Working meant they were strengthening. Stronger zygomatic muscles hold the cheeks higher naturally, even when you're not smiling. Neck tightening came last. Chin tilted up, mouth open slightly, then my lower jaw pushed forward. Hold for 7 seconds. This move targets the platysma, the muscle that creates neck bands when it weakens. Training it prevents sagging under the chin and keeps the jawline sharp. Muscle memory isn't instant. It takes repetition. But once a muscle learns to hold a position, it defaults to that position more often. That's why women who do facial exercises consistently see lasting results. The muscles stop relaxing into a sag and start holding a lift instead. This final day tied everything together. The warmth from day 1 prepared my tissue. The stretching from day 2 made it flexible. The drainage from day 3 cleared the bloat. Day 4 defined the structure. Day 5 brought fullness back. Day 6 tightened everything in place. And now my muscles were trained to keep it all there. That's what I did. 7 days, 7 steps, each one building on the last, each one necessary. Skip one, and the chain breaks. But I followed all 7, and my face shifted, not drastically, not overnight, but enough that people started asking what changed.